Hi guys, my name is Z Marie here with Heart4art Live. Today we're going to be learning how to draw our interpretation of the Garden of Eden. So get your sketch pad and your pencils and let's get started.
Warning: this community loves Jesus and art.
So let's get started. Go ahead and grab your sketch pad and your pencils, and let's go ahead and get started on drawing our interpretation of the Garden of Eden. So let's jump on over to our sketch pad and let's get started. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and get started on drawing our interpretation of the Garden of Eden. So if you look at your reference photo, you can see that it's kind of like clouds here in the back. So I'm just going to start kind of going left to right. So I'm going to start up here where my clouds are, and I'm going to get that first outline. Okay. And try your best to get it as even as possible so you don't have to come back to it. But of course, it's however you want to draw. It doesn't have to be exactly like the reference photo. So, okay. Again, it's kind of a basic draft. And if you miss a few loops and stuff here and there, it's okay. Okay. So just trying to get my basic outline for the clouds. And as you can see, some are lower than the next, so that does help it look more realistic. So there's not like one specific shape of clouds. So if you do that, it will help it look a little bit more realistic. So I would suggest you try and have different shapes throughout as well. Okay. And I'm going to leave a little gap here because we can see like the tree is kind of combining right there. So I'm going to leave a little gap and come to about right here. And the picture, it can look kind of detailed, but if we go like step by step with it, then we can get it all done around the same time. So just trying to give ourselves a basic outline. In some parts you may have to leave gaps for the mountains and all of that as well. Mountains and trees. So I'm going to leave a gap there. Okay, and I'm going to come over here and start on my other clouds on the right side. Like this. Trying to get it as close as I can, just so all my shapes and stuff won't be off from each other. So trying to just get it as close as a reference as I can. But of course, as I always say, you could do it, however you want to do it. Okay. And go into the clouds down here. I'm gonna come and start mine here. Okay, I'm going to come about right here, do those two, and then I'm going to come out here and do this full cloud. Okay. Then I'm going to put it here in the corner, like that. Alright, now let's look around on our picture and see what part we want to do next. The next part I would say is come back to the left, and you can see it's like a tree kind of going into the clouds, like coming off of the mountain. So that's going to be the next part that we're going to do right here. So I'm going to start right here in the far left corner and do this first plant. Just trying to get all of our basic outlines. You can always come back and correct anything that you may see is a little off or not the way that you wanted it to be. You can always come back and correct that as well. Okay, just trying to give us like a basic plant shape there. And then we're going to come here and get the taller tree. And it kind of looks like the same shapes of the clouds, but it's slightly different because they're closer. So just kind of keeping that basic format there. So just trying to get all of the little lines and stuff that are in it as well. And we can always come back and add some more detail. Like I said, just get a basic outline when you're first starting off your drawing. Okay. Gonna connect that like that. And we see there's like a little branch coming from the bottom. So we're gonna do that like that. Okay. And then we're gonna come right here where we stop the branch, and we're gonna go up and start drawing our mountains. Gotta draw it kind of left to right. Okay, gonna give it like a little crack kind of part right there. Then come about midway, draw the other part. Bring it down. Okay, now I'm gonna come back to my left and try and finish this part of the mountain. Okay. Now let's keep going like this, and then we'll get the bottom. So let me continue up here where we have our mountain. So I'm gonna just stop the line about right here, and it's gonna go further down, but I'm gonna just kind of stop it there. And then we're gonna come here and do our waterfall. So we're gonna go about halfway right here and start on the waterfall. Like this. And as we can see, you can see the water lines and all of that, so we'll make sure that we get that as well. We're gonna go on down with that. And now is where we can take this line on down. Go on down and down. Right there, okay? And we'll come back and do the water lines and all of that. Let's go ahead and get our basic mountain shapes. So, kind of do this like this. And you can do it whatever shape you want it to be. Okay, we're going to go down to about where these lines are there and stop. And come here, you see this tiny kind of mountain here. We're going to draw that. Like that and stop. Good. Okay, now up here you can see there's like another small kind of tree. So we're going to come here and go ahead and draw that, just so we won't miss it. Okay. And just like basic kind of squiggle lines, like up and down. Alright. We're going to do the little line here in that tree. Now we're going to come here to this side, and you see it's kind of like hills, so we'll go ahead and do that hill. So come about right here, kind of halfway of your previous mountain that you drew, and do your first up for the hill. Then you're going to go a little higher and bring it on down. Then when we get to the bottom, we're going to swoop it out like that. And then we're going to come here and get our other part of the hill. And going to go straight down and stop. Okay? And you can see right here there's a tiny mountain before a tree. So just do a little line and stop. Alright, now come right here, because you can see there's more clouds here in the back behind the mountain. So come right here and start drawing your clouds. And do it whichever way you want it to do. If you want it to look exactly like the reference, then just try and follow the closest shapes that they actually have on that reference photo, okay? So let's do it like this. Just trying to get us a basic shape outline, and we can go back and add any more details that we may want to add or change. I'm going to stop that there. So just in case we want our tree to come here or here, we have, you know, both of those options, okay? Which I'm probably gonna do it going more this way. So we'll see when we get to that part. Okay, now I'm gonna draw my other cloud. 1, 2, 3. And then we're gonna leave a space for the tree, so about right there. And continue our cloud. Okay. And of course you can see mine is a little bit different, so you can do it, you know, the way that you want the clouds and all of that to kind of come together. So that's completely up to you. Alright. Just adding a few lines here in between where we have the clouds. And we see over here we have like a small mountain kind of in the corner. So we're going to kind of do those plants that are on the mountain over here on your right side. Okay. Just trying to get the basic stuff, like simple things like trees and plants. We can go ahead and do that. Alright. And then you see there's a little mountain coming out of the leaves. I'm going to stop there, go out, and stop there. So we got space for our tree. Then we're going to do this other plant here. Alright, so now the next part that we need to do is obviously just come back over here to your left where you see the different trees. So we can kind of have a basic format left to right. So let's come over here to our left. And we're going to do that tree that we see in the corner. Like this. Okay. Got it? Then we're going to come here and start doing the trees that are coming out of this plant or bush right here, okay? So we're going to do our first tree. So just trying to get us the basic outline.
Stop what you're doing. Yes, I'm interrupting the drawing tutorial. Stop really quick if you haven't. If you are on YouTube, click that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and share this video so we can continue to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ to each and every individual here on earth. Alright guys, let's get back to the drawing.
Okay guys, so we're going to just finish where we left off before the commercial break. We were over here doing our trees. So we're over here doing our first tree. So we're just going to continue that. And if some of the shapes or anything are off, we can always go back and correct that, okay? Okay. Now let's come on down below this. And let's go ahead and get the other bush that it has so we can have the other tree coming out. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay. Alright, I'm going to stop there. And we're going to get our second tree, which is a little taller. So we're going to start it about here and take it on up to about here. Doing the branch. Okay, now doing the leaves. So we got 1, got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we'll add another one there. Okay. Now we're going to come down. You see there's a smaller one. Come to about right here. Do the branch. Now start the tree. Alright. And we can always come back and correct any lines that we see, that we don't want right there. Just trying to get us a basic format. Now we're going to get the plants down here on the bottom. So you do your line coming out for the middle of the plant, and then do your leaves. Just do one leaf each side. Left, right, left, right. And it's more of like a oval kind of circle leaves. So just go left to right. And we're going to go as far to the end as we can. Like that. Okay. Now we're going to start on down here. You see there's like a little kind of rock. So let's do the rock and then do the leaves behind the rock, okay? So come about here. On the bottom of your leaf you just drew. And do the rock. Okay. Right, we're just going to go all the way to the end there. Do the bottom. And as I always say, you can make it your own shape. So whichever way you want to do it, or however you want it to look, then you can do it that way as well. Just trying to get us a basic kind of rock shape, like a rough shape right here. Okay. Making sure we got all our little lines. Okay, then we're going to stop it there because you can see the tiger and all of that. So we're going to stop that rock right there. Then we're going to come up here and add our other plants. And we're going to go left, right, left. Right. Okay. Then we're going to do the one right beside it, which is like it's coming out of it. So come about right here and draw the other plant. And right to left on this one. So they're basically like kind of ovals or swivels to make those leaves, okay? Alrighty. And then you see we already did this part right here where it was like the kind of like a bush behind these plants right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring that on down. And you see the little rock kind of starting on the end of the waterfall. You can start doing that now. It's kind of a smaller rock. Okay. Trying to get us a basic shape down here. I'm going to do the rock right next to it as it's coming up by the waterfall. To get us a basic shape, we're going to connect those together right there, like that. And down here, that's kind of like the water splashing down here on the bottom, so we'll get that when we actually do that waterfall. Let's just try and get our basic shapes around, and then we can go back and add detail, okay? So we're going to come down here where you see the tiger, the rock, and we're going to come here to the left. And we're going to start drawing these flowers and stuff that we actually see down here. So, see the lines, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you're going to come right here and draw the petal to your flower. Just trying to get us a basic shape of the petal. Okay, then the little dots in the middle here. Got the 1, 2, 3. Trying to get it like the middle of the flower right there. Okay. And we can always come back and add a few more lines and details to the flowers if you ever want to. Let's just get us like a basic kind of format outline right here. So I'll make that a little more oval. Okay. And then we're going to draw the other flowers around it. I'm going to just go ahead and connect mine here to the bottom. Okay, going to do the little dots in the middle. Okay, and I'm going to do the flower, this stem. I'm going to give this one right here a stem. Okay. And the little kind of lines you see is representing the grass. So we're going to give ourselves a few lines there. Okay. Now if you come about right here, you can see that's where we're starting to draw the tiger. So you can kind of go ahead and get like the back where we see it's on the back of the tiger. Okay. And then start our next planks around it right here. Okay, and get our flowers. Just trying to get us a basic shape that we can kind of work around, just so we'll know what's represented right here. Gonna bring this part in. Okay. And this one, instead of the dot circle, it just has one circle coming up. So we're going to do that right here. Okay, fix that little part. We're going to do the circle coming up. Okay, try and get some of those lines out of there. Okay, now we're going to go on down here and you see some of those lines connect and they have the lines. Let's go ahead and do that. Just add our lines in between all of our flowers. Okay, now we're going to do this stem right here. And then just finish that flower off. And that pretty much wraps up what we're going to be drawing on this specific episode.
Guys, so that pretty much wraps up the tutorial for this week. Make sure you tune in next Tuesday, 2 p.m. CST,
Also, make sure if you want more drawing tips, tutorials, because I couldn't cover everything in the episode today. So if you want more information about the story that we're drawing, go to heart4art.live and you can see more reference images, all of that over there on the website. Also, make sure you all go to abamcenter.com. Awesome virtual museum, houses over 150 different multicultural biblical characters, 20 plus African kings, special exhibits, and so much more. So make sure you guys check that out. Also, make sure you all check out eternalfriends.tv. We air on their station every day between 7 and 7:30 a.m. CST. Love to see you guys there as well. And if you're already watching us on the station, thank you for being a partner. Make sure you go over to heart4art.live so you can partner even further in spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ through the arts. Thank you guys again so much for tuning in. Tune in next Tuesday, 2 p.m. CST, and I'll see you guys then. God bless, stay encouraged, and don't give up on God's calling for your life. Bye.
As a visual artist. Well, now you can. What kind of results will you get when you pray? If you are looking for even greater results in your God-given gifts and talents through prayer and supplication, maybe you have been missing a very important component. In How to Get Answers Every Time You Pray, Miss Zoe shares with the body of Christ and visual artists a powerful and effective revelation shown through God's Word on the power of knowing God's vision for your life and how it will help you further your spiritual life as well as your life as an artist. How to Get Answers Every Time You Pray. For visual artists, The Power of Partnership is a guide that defines what prayer is, discusses how you can use your gifts and talents for the kingdom of God through prayer, partnership, and God's vision. How to Get Answers Every Time You Pray is a must-have for every artist and believer. Your life is sure to be blessed by the practical steps and wisdom shared within this book. Apply these simple steps and truths and get the answers that you are asking for from God every time. Go to heart4art.live, join the Heart4art Club and get your copy today.
Hello everyone, my name is Z Marie. I wanted to welcome you all today to Heart4art. And today we're going to be learning how to draw praying hands. It's going to be a digital drawing, so sit back and let's get started.
Warning: this community loves Jesus and art.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Heart4art Live. Today we're going to be learning how to draw praying hands. And I first want to thank everyone for coming and joining and watching on today. So I'm going to try and do it step by step with you. I'm not going to do the whole time-lapse deal. So I'm going to try and go step by step so you can actually see how to draw it. So I'm going to be using the digital tablet, and I'll show you all how you can actually, get your own. Closer to the end, I'll explain that a little bit more. And so it's going to be a digital drawing of praying hands, and it's actually easier with this because you can color the drawing and all that actually on the on the software. So I'm going to go on over to our sketch pad now so we can get on started. Alrighty. So now I'm first going to start by just simply picking, what I want to use. So I just simply start off by using a pencil, like a regular pencil. And then we're going to start off simply by drawing the outline to your picture, which is always good to do first. Start by drawing the outline because, of course, if you shade first, it's kind of impossible. So we're first going to start off choosing our pencil here. And then we're going to start off by just looking at our picture here on the right of us. And we're just going to start by simply drawing the outline. I always start from the top, so it's best to see where you want to start from, but I usually start from the very top depending on the drawing. And so I'm simply going to just do the outline here. And you don't have to make it look exactly like how I'm drawing it. It's all in how you want to draw it. So I'm just going to start off by doing step by step, drawing our outline of the entire drawing, and then we'll get into actually coloring it and shading it and all of that too as well. So we'll simply start by doing that. And you don't have to use the pencil that I'm using. You can simply use a marker, as many different settings. If you have just regular paint on your computer, you can still use the digital drawing tablet to do that too. So it's all in how you want to do it that way too. So, all right. So let's keep drawing our outline here. And it's actually a bit easier using the digital tablet, but if you don't have one, you don't have to use that. You can always use just like a regular pencil and sketch pad. You can do the exact same thing. So it's always easier to simply get our outline first and then go into shading and coloring and all of that too as well. But it's not mandatory to use a digital drawing tablet, although it is probably a bit easier, but I'm going to be using regular sketch pad as we keep going. But for this specific drawing, I'm going to do it using the digital drawing tablet, and I'll actually show you all how you can get your own as well. A little closer to the end, I'll explain that a little bit more for you. But so you're just going to keep doing this right here. And it's always good to figure out, as I said before, find out which angle you want to go from. Because if you just start, let's say if we started from the bottom, it'd be a little bit tougher. So I always start from the part that seems like the most, you can say, complex. So since I see that the fingers would take a little longer, that's why I start from the top. But you can start from the bottom, it's up to you. But that's kind of my preference usually when I'm drawing. And I'm just simply still using the same pencil to do all of this as well.
Guys, I know you're enjoying the lesson. Stop really quick, hit that subscribe button and the like button so we continue to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ through the arts. Let's continue to spread the gospel through the arts through all of these videos. Share, subscribe, and like. All right, let's get back to the lesson.
If the hands have nails or anything like that, now would be a good time to start adding that. So, you won't forget and end up coloring it a different color, and it makes just the whole drawing look weird. So now is a good time to go back and add any detail that you may want to add to your picture. And as I said before, it is good to have a reference picture there with you. But if you're like if you're going off the top of your head, that's a bit different. But yeah, anytime that I'm drawing, I always like to have my reference right next to me, so it'll be easier for me to see too. So, all right, so now we're just going to go back and shade everything a little bit, make the dark areas dark, and leave the light areas kind of alone right now. All right. And simply using an eraser, if it's a dark part that you want to make lighter, then that's a good time to use the eraser. Just kind of slightly brush over the top to make it look like it's shaded, okay? So even if you're using it on a regular sketch pad, it's best if you want to make your lines look shaded, or if you made it too dark, just get an eraser and dab the drawing. Don't erase the entire part and start over, because then when you get those lines all in your drawing and all of that, you can tell at the end, it just kind of messes it up, makes it look rough. So, all right? So now I'm mainly focusing on darkening the lines or anything that looks like a shadow. That's the part that we're going to darken right now. As you can see, his hands right here, the part that looks dark. And you can use anything. Let's say if you're using the digital drawing software, for this part you can use like a marker or a pen. But if you're using a sketch pad, like a sketchbook, I wouldn't suggest you use a pen, because it just it doesn't look that well. So even if you just used a marker or something like that, then I would suggest you use that. And any part that's a different color, like a gray, then that's what I'm going to use to make some of my parts a little lighter than the next, just so it won't all be the same color and it looks like, like you're trying to make it look like the other drawing. So, all right. So it's always good to see like what colors the reference image is using, so you can see like what colors actually add to your drawing. So it just helps in all of that too as well, okay? All right. Just gonna darken our lines a bit more, since we see that this part is mainly black. Some parts are gray, but this part is primarily black. So just do all the black parts right here down at the bottom. Coloring in as much as we can. All right. And it also helps with using the digital drawing software. This is just a regular like sketch program that I'm using right here, but you can use it with paint and all of that. But it helps because you can actually go over beside the reference drawing and get the paint dripper and just select the color. And then when you go to your side to draw or to color it in, it's already that color, so you don't have to try and figure out what color was being used. So, all right. So now I'm just selecting the different colors, make some parts darker, make some parts lighter, so it actually look like it's shaded. And of course, if I make anything too dark, then just get your eraser and go back and do it that way too. But yeah, primarily on this one, we're going to do the digital drawing, but as we go on, I'm actually use a hand sketch pad. So for those who don't have the digital drawing software, it'd be a little more convenient using this, regular sketch pad. But I'll actually show you how you can get a hold of the digital drawing pads, because if one of the tutorials, if we actually, use one, you actually just have one on hand. So it's always good to just have one on hand. All right. So just going back, adding a bit of color. Parts that seem darker, gonna make those a bit darker. And the parts that need to be lighter, just gonna erase them to make them a bit lighter. All right. And you can make it whatever color you want it to be, but I wanted to look as close as my reference drawing, so I just got the paint dripper so I can get the exact color that the drawing actually was, and it makes the outcome look, as close to the reference as possible. But if you want it to be your own thing, then you don't have to do it those exact colors. If you want it to look like the black, you can also get like a navy blue, so that just always helps that way. All right. So just going back, adding a bit more detail and switching some of my, tools to make, like if something needs to be a bit darker, I won't use the pencil, I'll try to use the marker or something like that. So I'm simply just changing and getting the color to that so we can continue the shading process, and so the outcome will look as close to the drawing as we possibly can. And now is a good time to darken any lines, because now we're actually getting down to the part where we're about to start shading and coloring and all of that. So now is a good time to go back and make any corrections that you want to make, or fix any lines or shade anything like that. So just adding a bit more detail always helps. So now just mainly focusing on the lines in the hand, because you can see where it's like the veins in the hand. But as I'm drawing, I'm gonna show you actually how to make, how you see it looks kind of like a shadow on one part of his hand, and then it looks like the light is shining on another part, and that all comes from, how you shade and all that. So I'm actually show you how to do that too. But mainly just focusing on making the lines as detailed and as close as possibly can. Make sure I'm not blocking so you all can see it. All right. Now I'm going back now and just shading and making it as close to the reference drawing as possible. Again, the darkest lines. I usually start with the darker lines. So if I need to go back and make it look like a lighter line, then I can just simply erase. Alright. And when you're doing it like this, it's best to use like a gray, because you don't want it like straight black. If you're trying to make it like a pencil shade, you don't want to use just like a straight black, okay? So all this part right here, we can see on the reference drawing how it looks like it's a shade. So I'm just making all of this right here gray. All this whole side of the hand over here gray. All right? And going back and doing details in between the lines on the hand also helps to make it look a bit more realistic in the end. So all of this helps for the outcome of the picture. So just kind of preparing for the outcome of the picture. So, all right? Adding any detail or any shading that needs to be added now. So when we get to the actual adding of the color, it won't be, a hindrance to have to go back and do the same thing. So, and as you can see, the color I'm using, it looks kind of like a navy blue. And so this part right here, that's mainly what we're doing right there. And now I'm about to stop right here because I'm about to go to break. And we'll actually continue this drawing when we come back from the commercial break. And I'm actually show you how to do the coloring of the entire picture. So now it's down to like the kind of most detailed part. So stay tuned so you can get a great outcome of your picture and make it, the way that you want it to make it. You don't have to do it exactly how I'm drawing it. And if you just have a regular sketch pad or anything like that, you could do it the same way that I'm doing it. Get you some colored pencils, because now we're about to start doing the coloring right after this break, okay? See y'all in a bit. right, welcome back, guys, to Heart4art Live. Now, last time we just left off before the break and all that good stuff, we were shading the hands. So now I'm actually about to show you all how to add color to the hands of the praying hands drawing too. So let's go ahead over to our sketch pad and let's go ahead and continue where we left off. All right, so when we left off, you can see that I'm darkening the lines on the right side of the hand. And any parts I need to make lighter, I'm simply using my eraser. That just helps to make it look more like it's shaded and more like the light is shining on it, okay? All right. Any parts that you need, any piece of the drawing or part of the drawing that you need to go back and darken the lines and all of that, now is a good time to start doing that, okay? So I'm simply just going to go step by step, showing you actually how to shade it to make it look more realistic overall at the end, okay? All right. Any of the lines that I need to make a bit darker, I'm just going to simply make those a bit darker. All right. And as you can see, I'm just shading a specific part on the thumb, not the entire thumb, because this part looks like it's darker than the rest. So I'm going to first do that. Make that part a bit darker. All right. Just making a few corrections on sides that I want it to make a bit darker as well and lighter. All right. And now I'm using more of like a straight black. I use the navy blue for the right side of the hand just because that shadow looks a bit different than the rest. So now, adding a bit more detail and a bit more shading before we start coloring the drawing or adding a bit more color to it, okay? As you can see, I'm darkening the fingers, the outline of the finger, so when we do add our color, it won't get hidden behind the color, okay? You can still see he has fingers, okay? So now is a good time to start darkening your lines, your outlines. If you want to darken the entire outline of the whole hand drawing that you've done thus far, that's okay too, just so it doesn't clash when you start doing the coloring. All right, so mainly just focusing on darkening the lines a bit more. And I did want to make sure that I say, if you are artists or if you know someone who wants to get their designs on different paraphernalia and things like that, you can actually go over to smicapp.com, that's SMICAPP.com, and simply click on Would Prosper. And you can actually put your designs on t-shirts or anything like that. So I'm going to tell you all a bit about that more when we're finished with the drawing, okay? All right. So now just focusing on a bit more detail before we go to coloring. Shading a few lines, darkening a few lines. All of this helps. All of this helps. All right. And if you do need to switch your tools, to make your pencil darker, if you need to change the color, then you can do that as well. Try not to use the same pencil throughout the entire drawing, especially if you want to make certain parts darker. Go to a darker pencil, okay? All right. So we're just mainly focusing on darkening some of the lines and shading it a bit more. And as you can see, I'm using different colors and things like that, and I'm going back to my tool that I showed before where it just makes the hand wave a bit more, just makes the veins and everything look more realistic. And you can do that, so I'm just kind of brushing that across the drawing. So it actually look like veins and not just harsh lines, okay? All right. Just doing that a bit more detail on the fingers, on the entire hand. So this is the kind of tool where you can just wipe across the whole drawing. So there's nothing wrong with that. It won't really mess up the drawing in that way. It just makes the lines look a bit more realistic, okay? And you can do this with your eraser by just kind of dabbing your lines that you've drawn already. It just makes it not look like a harsh line, okay? That's completely your choice, but that does help it make it look a bit more realistic. All right? Now, adding a little bit more detail before we move on. And I'm using an airbrush and things like that, but if you don't have an airbrush, if you're using just a sketch pad and a pencil, you can just simply get your pencil and do slight brush strokes on part that you want to make look darker or lighter. And if you make it too dark, as I said before, you can get your eraser and dab it to make it lighter. So there's nothing wrong with making dark lines. Now, if your lines are too light, that could be a challenge coming back trying to darken them, okay? So just keep that in mind. All right. And as you can see, I'm switching the size and switching between different tools. So it just helps to make your drawing look very versatile, okay? So now I'm about to choose the color to the hands. So we're choosing the best color. All right, and you can make the hands whatever color you want them to be, but I'm simply doing this with the paint dripper and just selecting the closest color I can to the hands. So now, I'm just going to start by giving it kind of a rough shade first, and we'll go back and add a bit more detail, okay? All right, and some parts that look darker, we're going to go ahead and make them dark. The parts that look lighter, we're going to go ahead and make them light. It just helps us in the end not have to come back, okay? All right. So we're simply in the coloring process. And if I see that some parts look really light, like looks like the sun is shining on it, I'll just leave it white. So you can see I'm skipping some parts where it's not completely tan like the rest of the hand. It's just because how the light is shining on the hands in the image. So that just helps. All right. And if you want to get finer lines when you're coloring and all of that, just, sharpen. It's good to have at least, I would say, 2 of the same colors. That's simply because you can have one that's more of a dull. So when you want to, just shade straight across, you can do that. And one that's sharper. So if you want to do like detailed lines, then you can use that to do that. And that's with color pencils or anything like that with color that you're going to be using to actually color your drawing, okay? The same thing applies with pencils as well. It's good to have different varieties of them and not just one pencil that you're using. All right. And as you can see, the more we do this, the more realistic the hands are starting to look. Because we're just going and darkening parts that need to be darkened rather than making the whole thing one color, okay? So now, adding a bit more detail to the overall hand. And when you get to this part, you can give it like a slight brush stroke across your entire drawing, but not too dark, okay? So it doesn't mess up all the work that you put towards now. And you can darken any lines that have gotten hidden from you adding the color. All right. And on your outer lines of the hand, you can get your eraser and just kind of dab. You can see how the corners of the hand is not as harsh. So you can do that by just getting an eraser and kind of slightly brushing across the edges of your drawing just to make it go more with the color and make it look more realistic too as well. And now I'm fixing a few errors that I made prior to. So all of this, can be resolved in the beginning of your drawing. But I just wanted to make it look as close as I could to the reference drawing too. So now is a good time for any corrections that you want to be made. And as you can see, I didn't redraw it really dark because I'm coming with the color. And I'm filling in the finger now, the thumb now. So that just helps and not, so that made me not have to go back again and erase it. I just didn't make the line as harsh the second time. And now is a good time to get like a white or a lighter tan. So you can go back and make some parts lighter, okay? And you can do this as well with just an eraser, like I said, okay? So now, some of the parts I made too dark, I'm just going back and erasing them to make them lighter and look as closest to the drawing as I possibly can. And choosing the closest color you can to the reference drawing is very important when you want it to look exactly like your reference drawing, all right? Try not to veer too far away from the color of the reference image unless, that's what you want to do. But if you want it to look as close as you can, then I would suggest you choose the closest color, okay? All right. Just filling in as much as we can without making certain parts too dark. That's very important. Alright, going back to our slight kind of whitish tan color. Just filling in certain spots. And you can see that the outcome of the drawing is starting to look more and more realistic the more we just add these few details. Yeah, it may take a little while, but the outcome of it all is, like I said, the most fun part. So, alright. Now, any part that doesn't look straight black, then that's when you can use like a brown. You can see on the sleeve, in between the hands, in certain areas looks more like a brown, not a black. So use that if you want it to look like real hands. Try not to use just dark black for everything that you're shading. Try to use as many different colors as you possibly can too, okay? Alright? And gray is always good when you want to make a lighter shade. Gray always works in that way. Gray or a regular pencil. Alright, trying to make sure we choose the closest colors we can to the reference drawing. Alright. Don't want to just choose a random color, then it just causes double work. Making sure I choose the right tool and all of that. Like I said, the paint dripper in this case is very useful. If you're doing like digital drawing, the paint dripper is good for wanting to catch the exact color of the image, okay? But you just get as close to it as you can, even if you're not using the digital drawing and all of that too, okay? Just trying to make sure I get the closest I can so that it won't be kind of like a regret in the end too, okay? Alright. Just trying to get it as close as we can. Alright, and that's pretty much it. So that was the outcome of the drawing, and I hope yours turned out excellent. I can't see it from here, but I hope it turned out exactly, how you wanted it to turn out. And I did mention if you are an artist or an individual who wants to get your designs or your pictures or photos or anything like that displayed on t-shirts or mugs or anything like that, like cool paraphernalia kind of gear stuff, you can actually go to www.smicapp.com, and that's SMICAPP.com, and you can actually go over there, and if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see it says Would Prosper. When you click that, you can go over there and choose from a variety of different products that you can actually put your designs on as well too, okay? So I wanted to make sure that I told you that, but that pretty much wraps it up for the praying hands tutorial. Make sure you all stay tuned and come on back, because every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, we will be posting new art tutorials, and we'll try and split it up as much as we can. So if we need to split it into different parts, we will. I want to make sure that I explain it to you all well enough and not, boggle your head with the whole time-lapse deal, because me, myself, that's not how I like to do the drawings, because you can't even see how to do it yourself. So I'm going to try and take you step by step to, help you get the outcome that you want on your drawings as well. And I did want to mention, make sure you all go over and check out, it's an awesome, if you're into biblical art, kind of how I did the praying hands, but these are actually biblical art portraits that you can check out, and that is abamcenter.com. That's A-B-A-M center, CENTER.com. You go over there, it's actually a biblical arts museum. So they actually have over 150 different multicultural biblical characters. So you all need to check that out as well, and I'll try and play, their commercial for you at the end so you can get a little idea of what they do over there as well. But that is pretty much it. I'm going to wrap it up, and I just want to thank everyone for coming and watching on today and joining, and I hope that your art turned out exactly the way that you wanted it to turn out, and the outcome was cool. So make sure you all stay tuned. Come on back every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. You will actually be seeing different art tutorials that will help you hopefully in bettering your art. So thank you all so much. I have been Z Marie here with Heart4art, Heart4art Live. Make sure you all come on back, okay? See y'all next time, okay?
You want to understand God's calling for your life as a visual artist? Well, now you can. What kind of results will you get when you pray? If you are looking for even greater results in your God-given gifts and talents through prayer and supplication, maybe you have been missing a very important component. In How to Get Answers Every Time You Pray, Ms. Zoe shares with the body of Christ and visual artists a powerful and effective revelation shown through God's Word on the power of knowing God's vision for your life and how it will help you further your spiritual life as well as your life as an artist. How to Get Answers Every Time You Pray. For visual artists, The Power of Partnership is a guide that defines what prayer is, discusses how you can use your gifts and talents for the kingdom of God through prayer, partnership, and God's vision. How to Get Answers Every Time You Pray is a must-have for every artist and believer. Your life is sure to be blessed by the practical steps and wisdom shared within this book. Apply these simple steps and truths and get the answers that you are asking for from God every time. Go to heart4art.live, join the Heart4art Club and get your copy today.